First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Today's video, I wanted to do a land back of the brother's video, going into how Vocab Malone, you cannot overthrow it. Right, Vocab Malone, this guy right here, goes by the name of Vocab Malone. He cannot destroy the doctrine, the true doctrine. Right, he's not going to stop the awakening of the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, and there's nothing he can do. Right, this guy you see right here, he's been a severe scoffer for I think over 10 years. Right, this guy has been scoffing and mocking and trying to find holes in the doctrines, but every single time, right, he comes short. Right, all the videos he makes about him trying to debunk us, the apostles and brothers just make videos correcting him and explaining why he's wrong. Right, this is not something emotional. This is all about straight facts, okay, and proving your points with the scriptures. So he ultimately made a video going into how he encountered the IUIC over there in France, in Paris, and it was just pretty much mocking and scoffing. And ultimately, like we say, right, this guy he's gonna keep on doing. He's fulfilling his lot as being a contrarian. And at the end of the day, right, because he'll come up and say, how do you know you're right and I'm wrong? And we'll prove the scriptures, but he'll still stay on that point. And at the end of the day, we just say, at the end of the day, we'll see. and I was choking on that word right there, but at the end of the day, we will see who's right and who's wrong. Okay, because after a certain point, there's no point in going back and forth. Right, this guy has been ultimately blocked for getting the understanding. But let's get a scripture here. This is Acts chapter 5 and verse 38. It says, "And now I say unto you, refrain from these men, and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against God." And that's the point, is that the word, right, if it's from the Most High, right, you can't come against it no matter what you try. So at the end of the day, we'll see, right? If it's from men, right, which Roman Catholicism, modern day Christianism is from men, right? We've proven this a million times, going into how all the holes that the doctrine has, right? It's from men. But if it's from the Most High, you can't overthrow it, okay? And he's realizing that, right? He's realizing that why is it that these people keep growing, right? Why is it that all these people are joining this cult, right? What's going on? Okay, what's happening is that the Hebrew Israelites are awakening. Okay, Ezekiel the 37th chapter, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, and Revelation the 11th chapter. All talking about the awakening. And you can't stop it. It's from the Most High. So I'll play the video and go into pretty much what he's talking about.
What are you going to do about it? And now they've taken this false gospel and their fake chart all the way to Paris, France. What are you going to do about it? You've probably seen a group of Hebrew Israelites holding Cant, as they call it. You probably also know that this usually means they'll be yelling loudly into a microphone and pointing people to a sandwich board sign on the ground. Since its inception in the U.S. South in the 1890s, Hebrew Israelism has grown steadily, but in spurts. Some scholars in the field refer to this as the 4 waves. In each of these growth waves, there's been small but significant overtures to overseas growth as well. But none of the previous overseas growth of this new religion has been impactful as the current overseas growth of Hebrew Israelism. If you live in a major urban area in England, you've probably also seen a group of Hebrew Israelites holding camp. This growth now extends into Europe, such as Holland and Germany.
They tell you everything is so sweet.
Now I want to make a quick point, is that he's going over the IUIC, right? And the IUIC, when it comes to their doctrine, they're about 90% right, and the other 10% they're going off. Right? They have holes in their doctrine. It's not 100% pure, right? But even with that, the fact that they're out here preaching, right, and still pushing Yahushai, that's massive, right? That's massive. Okay, because you're going to have Israelites that come across the IUIC, right? They're out here pretty much putting up more of a show. And you're going to have Israelites that wake up, okay? And a lot of them are going to wake up, come into this. Some are going to fall out. But some, on the other hand, are going to come into the true doctrine, right? What the men of Great Millstone are teaching, right? So, hey, even in IUIC teaching, even though they're bugged out and they're teaching false doctrine, there's still benefits to it. right? The Most High, ultimately, what he's doing is he has his master plan, right? As it says in Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Right, going into this word, right, brothers out here on the highways and byways teaching, right, is gonna gather up fruit. Okay, me making these videos is gonna gather whoever it needs to gather, right? And that's why I don't stress about views or nothing like that, because whoever has to hear the video will hear the video. Okay, even if I get shadow banned, whoever has to hear it will hear it, because his word does not go out void. Okay, and same thing with all the brothers out there, right? Making videos, going out to camp, it's not in vain. Whoever has to hear it will hear it. And even IUIC teaching, they're finding the elect out there. So, let's keep going.
Everything's going to be good. Nothing's going to be good. Destruction is coming to Germany.
And Italy.
We have broken ground in Rome, Italy.
Per insegnarti nutra genti, da acordo alla Bibbia,
And Scotland.
King James came from a long line of black Scottish Stuart kings.
You hear that? A long line of black Scottish Stuart kings, right? He's actually a black man.
The growth of Hebrew Israelism
King
even
James
extends
was a
into
Scotsman,
France. Paris, where we are right now. Take a look at this very recent image of IUIC Paris prepping to hit the streets and pass out flyers for their school. When I tell people about Hebrew Israelites in France, they're usually surprised. They're also surprised to hear that IUIC does the bulk of their videos in French.
Shalom au sein classe place. Aujourd'hui, on va discuter la...
Currently, David Wood and I, what's up, David Wood?
Hey, what's up?
David Wood and I are in Europe for some other ministry-related activities. And since we're here, we wanted to basically stop by the spot where a small group of Hebrew Israelites normally set up, where we're standing. Watch this video, compare the backgrounds. We wanted to see if we could catch IUIC Paris live and ask them a few questions. How are you saved? If you're saved by your supposed Israelite heritage, do you really know you're an Israelite? Are you sure?
Do you know what?
You can literally trace your ancestry all the way back to the patriarchs. That's like 80 generations or more. Thousands of years. And when did you find this secret out? Was it when you watched a video of IUIC teaching in America? How are you saved?
And I want to actually touch this because I didn't even know he put these questions, but I might as well just answer them.
Saved by
So
your
how are we
supposed...
saved? Alright, so the whole saving is when those chariots come down and save us out of this nuclear destruction. Right, out of the four corners of the entire earth. That is a salvation. Right, because you'll have these Christians talk about how, oh, we're saved, right? Have you been saved by Jesus Christ? Right, and a question I would ask him is, what are you saved from? Oh, I'm saved from the sin of the world, but hold up, we're still in the world. Right, and you just trump off that. The salvation is going into this. Being saved from the destruction. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 12 it says, and they heard a great voice, and I'll start at verse 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Right, this is what's taking place right now. Right, this is what this guy doesn't understand. Right, that Spirit of life, the understanding of the scriptures, okay, where we come from is entering into them. What is the them? The Israelites. Right, because at one point we didn't know who we were. Right, and once we recognize who we are, we're standing upon our feet boldly, right, confidently. And it says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Right, going into our enemies, going into the elites, right, because they see that prophecy is being fulfilled. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And that's the salvation, right, is going up in that cloud, aka UFO, okay, and pretty much evading the nuclear destruction here in America. It says, in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. Right, and that remnant is talking about those that ascended up into the cloud. Right, and that's how we're going to be saved. That's a whole salvation. Okay, and not just those in America, those throughout the entire earth, right, getting beamed up. Right, because when you go to Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 14, it's not just here in America. Right, this is Jeremiah 16 and verse 14. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, Babylon the Great, aka America, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I'll bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Right, so the salvation is going to be worldwide. Right, but the salvation, right, pretty much evading those nuclear missiles is primarily going to be here in America. And also in other places too, but the primary one is in the land of the north. right? Because once America hits that button, once America sees the nukes coming over here, they're gonna hit that button also. And it's crazy that America, right? Every single president has to pretty much sign off what's called a nuclear treaty, a nuclear thing, right? A nuclear message, going into how if there was a nuclear attack, what they would do. And you can actually look this up, right? When it comes to that, every single president has to sign off on this. And the terms is that if there were to be a nuclear escalation, America would annihilate everybody. Okay, they wouldn't just annihilate who is shooting the nukes over here. They would annihilate every single country, even countries they're not messing with, right? Because they want to assure that when the nuclear destruction is done, that they are the top society, they are the top empire on the earth, and they can keep on conquering. Right, so that goes to show the wickedness. And everything I just said right now, you can look it up. Right, it's a real thing. But that's the salvation. It's getting beamed up.
Israelite heritage. Do you really know you're an Israelite? Are you sure you can literally trace your ancestry?
Do you know you're an Israelite? And that question is easily answered by one scripture. Let me find it. Romans 8. Right, this is Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. It says, "The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Mashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together." Right, and that's the point, is that the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Right, it's a spiritual thing first and foremost. Right, and second, right, as a collective, so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, because every single country out there, as a collective, they have forefathers. Right, for example, right, if you were to look at a so-called Chinese man, right, and you were to look at a so-called a dark-skinned man, a Negro, right, they have different forefathers just off the phenotype. Right, all nations have different phenotypes. Okay, so-called Chinese, they go back to Moab as a collective, right? So-called white people go back to Esau as a collective, right? And I say as a collective because ultimately the seeds are mixed, right? You can have a dude that looks like a white man, right? But if his forefathers was a dark-skinned man, right, was an Israelite, that white-looking boy is an Israelite, right? So that's why we say as a collective, the so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, when it comes to those that, the Israelite foreigners, those that were scattered amongst the other nations, okay, that look like the other nations, that's where the scripture comes in. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, right? It's a spiritual thing, right? You can tell when somebody is an Israelite. For example, you see that white boy in the hood, right, got that slang, is just talking the same way at these Negroes, right? He's got that sauce to him. That's an Israelite, man. That's not no Edomite. That's an Israelite. Right, he just looks white. And it's the same thing with these other nations, right? You see these Moabites, Chinese people, right, that be breakdancing, all types of crazy, right? They're just the sauce. That's an Israelite, man. That's where a Romans, I think it's Romans the 7th chapter, going into the innumerable multitude from all nations, tongues, and kindreds. That's going into how the Israelites were scattered. So that's how we know we're an Israelite. Part of it is by faith, and also who you go back to.
All the way back to the patriarchs? That's like 80 generations or more. Thousands of years. And when did you find this secret out? Was it when you watched a video of IUIC teaching in America?
And that's exactly how I found it out. Not by IUIC, but my brother in GMS in the Truth Orlando. He made a video, and that's how I woke up. Right? Because the internet does the heavy lifting. Okay, and when you go into the scriptures, going into how in the land of our captivities we shall remember themselves, how does that happen? Right? You remember yourself by somebody else telling you. Okay, talks about how we need teachers, right? Even Peter was talking to that one guy in the carriage. I forgot where exactly what's at, but it goes into how the guy in the carriage was reading Isaiah, and Peter asked him if he knows what he's reading, and the guy said, "How would I know unless you taught me?" And that's the point, is that we learn by being taught. Okay, so ultimately, one man, I think it was Abba Bivens, right? He had a revelation, I think he was a rabbi, which was only in the Old Testament, but he had a revelation, started going into the New Testament, and that's where ultimately the awakening took place, was from one man. And that makes sense. Okay. So, and I have to pretty much catch up on that story too, and actually go into the history of what happened to be on point.
We know it wasn't from the Bible. We know it wasn't from a DNA test. We were hoping IUIC Paris would be here today because I haven't seen them carrying any umbrellas. See, when I usually show up to an IUIC camp in the States, they always unfurl their umbrellas, and then they follow me around with these open umbrellas and literally poke me with the tips. And I'm just thinking maybe IUIC Paris has more class than that, you know? IUIC Paris tends to show up at this location every single Saturday. Using English subtitles, I can discern that their activities very similar to the US-based groups. They proselytize for their religious group, Israel United in Christ. They ask people about their nationality, something the apostles never did. They tell people what tribe they are or what tribe they're not. They tell the French they're Edomites. They talk about how great Nathaniel is.
That is kind of crazy how they're glazing Nathaniel. But the part about how you said how you tell people what nation they go back to, that's in the scriptures, right? That's in the scriptures. Let's go to it in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, right? Going into the 12 tribe sign. Okay, and never in history was it documented that Ezekiel had a 12 tribe sign. Right? This was never documented because this hasn't happened yet. Right? This is happening right now. Ezekiel didn't fulfill this prophecy. But it says, the word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick. And when you go into that word stick, it pretty much goes into a wooden plank. Right? Wood. A plank. Which that's exactly what the sign is. It says, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, right, going into the southern kingdom, and for the children of Israel for his companions, northern kingdom. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick for Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. Right, and this was going into how all 12 tribes, right, all the house of Israel, right, with two sticks, front and back, right, show the 12 tribes. Okay, it says, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, will thou now show us what thou meanest by these? Right, which goes to show the mentality of the people. Right, we're supposed to have a sign out there to get people to look, right, to get people to inquire. What do you mean by the 12 tribes of Israel, and that Latinos, Negroes, Native Americans are Hebrew Israelites? What does this sign mean? Right, when they ask all this, say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. Right, going into how he's going to reunite the tribes, okay, in the salvation. Okay, because in the kingdom of heaven, all 12 tribes are going to be together. That's what it's symbolic of. It says, and the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes, right, showing them the sign. And this is what we're supposed to tell them, right, which goes to show, okay, what the time frame is of this prophecy. It says, and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. Okay, and we just read about that in Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 14, right? Right here. How the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Okay, and the Lord is not known by this title yet, because it hasn't happened. Right, when Yahushua comes back, this is what he's coming to do, is to save the Israelites from all four quarters of the world and bring them back to the Holy Land. Okay, and that's exactly what we're telling the people. It says, with the sign, and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, right, King David. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will please them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. Right, going into how we're never going to sin again, right? Because we're going to be immortal, new bodies, and have the law, statutes, and commandments in our inward parts. Okay, and that's the understanding of the sign, and why we tell people what tribe they go to. Okay.
You know, standard IUIC stuff. I want you to imagine you're in the streets of Paris, walking by the KFC here, and this IUIC Paris group started proclaiming their dogma at you. Here's some things you might want to ask them.
Welcome to another video.
And I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to watch his actual entire video and see what more he talks about, make some more videos. But Hopefully this is edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Kodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that tell me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.